Salute, brothers and sisters. I'm Comrade Ramzu Yunus, Human Rights Policy Officer Ramzu Yunus. I also wanted to share some quick information. Information that I'm sure will mobilize everyone that listens to this and even mobilize you to get other people to listen to what I'm saying. It's concerning an intelligence report that was released by U.S. government intelligence. The report was about the $300 billion we spoke of months ago from Russia and Russian support that they're worried about. There was I'm looking at the screen right now reading this report. Of course, we don't read intelligence reports, so we don't know about this report. But this report was released to government officials and it was released to the media, and the media picked it up, including the #1 political news media in the world called Politico. We might not even know about Politico, but it's the #1 in the world. Look it up. News media. Political news media. Politico published an article talking about Russia's involvement in helping us with our independence, the $300 billion, etc. The title of the article is "The Future of Disinformation, This Time in Mississippi." The report is about myself, actually. But they use the word disinformation. So I want to let you know what disinformation really is before you fall for the media's deception, for their disinformation. Disinformation, we read from Cambridge Dictionary. Cambridge Dictionary says disinformation is false information spread in order to deceive people. False information. Now here's what the U.S. government calls disinformation in this article. They reveal what they call disinformation. Let me read this. Logically's researchers who specialize in tracking disinformation networks across social media platforms like Telegram and Facebook say these online campaigns follow a pattern they've seen in Africa, where the Kremlin is stoking, Kremlin, Russia's state office, is stoking anti-colonial sentiment against Western powers. Nick Bakovich, one of the report's lead researchers, said Yunus's blatant pro-Russia claims focus on reaching untapped U.S. audiences with anti-West messaging is an easily replicable framework that could snowball and potentially destabilize populations across the country. So the real definition of disinformation has to do with falsehood, spreading false information. American government's definition of disinformation is anything that's anti the government. That's what they consider disinformation. Also, I'm going to share with you right now a clip from France 24, which is France's international news network. During this interview, the anchor woman was questioning one of the researchers of this report. She was asking, why is he calling it disinformation? Take a look for yourself.
And if they're utilizing legitimate grievances, does it count as misinformation or disinformation? How do you classify it as that?
It's classified primarily as propaganda.
So as you see, as he admitted, disinformation, to them, they label disinformation as propaganda. Propaganda doesn't mean falsehood. Propaganda is information shared by someone or a government or a corporation that furthers its interest. Of course, I'm using propaganda to further my interest. My interest is justice for black people. So because I favor justice for black people, I'm going to give information that favors justice for black people. And that information is your human rights. If you knew that you had a right of self-determination, then you would immediately utilize that right and change your situation. So I want you to have that information. They call this disinformation because it will destabilize them. It's against their destabilization of us. Bear with me for a minute. It reads also, that my movement already has the backing of an intricate global cross-platform propaganda network called Russosphere. Russosphere means Russian world. So saying I got the backing, and also during the article they say it was confirmed of my talks with the Kremlin. Of course, I've been talking with my enemy's enemy. It's not our enemy. Russia and the Kremlin has always helped black liberation movements in America and in Africa and in South America and in Asia. Movements that America labeled terrorist movements, like they labeled Nelson Mandela. So anything that threatens America, threatens the status quo, they're going to label it Russian, because Russia is the biggest threat to America. Back in the days, they called leaders such as Dr. King communists under Russian influence. Look at your screen. I'm going to share right now some pictures of billboards they had all across America calling Dr. King a communist. They had him in newspaper articles calling him a communist in order that we, the people, abandon him and say, he's a communist, we don't want to mess with him. Because if we mess with Dr. King, if we follow Dr. King, and power is in the people, he would utilize the power of that people to effect change for that people that the government did not want. The report also shared the letter that I received from the Russian government. A letter from the Duma, the Russian Duma, which is like the Russian parliament, written personally by Duma Deputy Boris Pakin. The letter was a short, brief letter just thanking me for my work on behalf of Russia and African or black people's relations between each other. The letter also mentioned the fact that they look forward to doing business with Africans at home and abroad, black people worldwide, Afrodescendants. That letter will be shared right now on the screen. That letter is a powerful indication of Russia's willingness to assist black people, including $300 billion in trading revenue. So they're afraid of that. But you and I should be encouraged to participate and get the $300 billion, get the assistance, and it's more than $300 billion that's at stake here. There's trillions of dollars at stake, because where we live is worth over $15 trillion in real estate value alone. So what's the easily replicable framework that we should be doing? It's a simple vote. All we have to do is vote, say yes, as an Afro-descendant, I assert my right of self-determination and vote for black independence. When you go to reparations.app, our website, you'll see the registration itself. That's your vote. So go to reparations.app and cast your vote. That database is the power base for us to make these moves, for us to declare independence over Detroit, over Jackson, Mississippi, over East Athens, over Atlanta, over Baltimore, over wherever black people live, for us to give ourselves reparations. That's moving with power. That's the power that we have that they don't want us to even utilize. Even scholars have written articles and published reports of the fact that America does not want black people to utilize their right of self-determination, because it's the most powerful right, and it will bring a disruption to their order, to the status quo. But a disruption to their status quo is an improvement in our life as black people. So black people, go and register to that website. Call our hotline if you got any questions. If you want to get involved, 888-999-6530. You see it on the screen. We got to take some action right now. They just admitted what's easily replicable, what can easily be done, what can easily effect change. This is not a threat. We're not trying to threaten them, trying to destabilize them, but we need stability, black people. We need housing. We need economic reparations. We need justice. We need to stop police brutality, wrongful convictions. I'm sure you all